Welcome to The Explainer. We're going to jump right in and talk about vaccine safety. Specifically, we're looking at the real established medical reasons why a doctor might say, hey, let's wait on this one or even avoid a vaccine altogether.
Look, it's a question pretty much all of us ask before any medical procedure, right? And when it comes to vaccines, it's a totally valid and super important one to ask. You want to know you're making the absolute best call for your own health.
And here's the good news. The answer from, all the major medical sources is a resounding yes for almost everyone. The exceptions? They're really, really specific and incredibly rare. So what are those exceptions? What are those super specific, medically defined situations where a doctor might pump the brakes? Well, that is exactly what we're going to break down right now. Okay, first up, the biggest reason to be cautious is a history of a really severe, life-threatening allergic reaction. The medical term for this is anaphylaxis. And just to be super clear, we're not talking about getting a few hives or some minor itching. Nope, anaphylaxis is a whole body event. It's serious, it can mess with your breathing and blood pressure, and it is a true medical emergency.
And you got to notice how specific this is. We're only talking about a confirmed anaphylactic reaction, and it has to be to either a previous dose of that exact same vaccine or to one of the specific ingredients inside it.
And to put this all in perspective, this is so rare. I mean, we're talking about roughly one case for every million doses given out. Think about that. It's incredibly uncommon. So, what kind of ingredients are we talking about? Well, this table breaks it down. You can see things like gelatin, which is used to keep vaccines like MMR and shingles stable, or even tiny amounts of certain antibiotics and others.
And here's a really great example of how science learns and updates its advice. For years, people worried about the MMR vaccine if a child had an egg allergy. But, after tons of research, we now know that's not a concern. The reactions aren't linked to the egg protein, so kids with egg allergies should absolutely get their MMR shot on schedule.
All right, so that's severe allergies covered. Now let's move on to the second major category. This is all about people who have a weakened immune system, what doctors call being immunocompromised.
And to understand this, you really have to know the difference between two kinds of vaccines. You've got live vaccines, which use a super weakened but still living version of the germ. Then you have inactivated vaccines, which use a killed germ or maybe just a piece of it. And that difference, it is absolutely critical for someone with a weak immune system. So why does this matter so much? Well, those live vaccines, like the ones you see here, they actually replicate a little bit inside your body to get your immune system's attention. For most of us, that's totally fine. But if your immune system is already struggling, even that super weak germ could, in theory, cause a real infection. Now, we're talking about a really specific list of situations here. Things like severe genetic disorders, certain cancers, like leukemia or lymphoma, or people who are on high-dose medications that are specifically designed to suppress their immune system. Also, folks who recently had a stem cell transplant. Okay, let's tackle another big one. What about when you're pregnant? Or what if you're just feeling kind of sick on the day you're supposed to get a shot? When it comes to pregnancy, the advice is actually super clear. Those inactivated vaccines, they're not just safe, they are highly recommended because they protect both the mom and the baby. Now, the live vaccines are usually held off until after delivery. It's really just a precaution. There's no actual evidence they cause harm, but doctors just play it extra safe. And what about just feeling sick? Well, if you've got something serious going on, especially a high fever, it's usually best to just wait until you feel better. And it's not because the vaccine is suddenly dangerous. It's really just so you don't get confused about what's causing your symptoms. Is it your illness or is it a reaction to the shot? It just keeps things clear. Okay, so we've talked about the real reasons to wait, but it's just as important knowing all the things that are not a reason to skip a vaccine. There are a ton of myths out there, so let's bust a few of what are called false contraindications. All right, here's a classic that parents always ask. What about a simple runny nose? Your kid's got the sniffles on the day of their vaccine appointment. What do you do? The answer is, it's not a contraindication. The medical guidance is totally clear. A mild cold, no fever, that is not a reason to delay the shot. You're good to go. Okay, next myth. What if someone in your family, say your brother or your mom, had a bad reaction to a vaccine once? Does that mean you should skip it? The answer again is a clear no. That is not a contraindication. What happened to a family member doesn't automatically apply to you. It's your personal medical history that counts.
And believe me, the list of what's not a reason to wait is pretty long. Just look at this. Asthma, eczema, or hay fever. Nope. Being on antibiotics. Still nope. Breastfeeding. Totally fine. Being born premature. In fact, it's even more important to vaccinate on time. Even a history of febrile seizures isn't a contraindication. None of these are reasons to skip a vaccine.
So, what's the bottom line here? It's that the real medical reasons to avoid a vaccine are super rare and very, very specific. They aren't based on a hunch or something you heard from a cousin. And the golden rule is always this: if you're ever in doubt, just talk to your doctor. Don't make the decision on your own.
Hopefully, breaking all this down really helps you separate the medical facts from the fiction, because when you understand the specifics, you can feel way more confident making decisions about your own health. So think about that question on the screen for a second. Thanks for tuning into The Explainer.